now joined by the McKinney Lioness head coach, Alex Pantarotto. And Coach, you were able to squeeze your way into the playoffs. It came down to not the last game of the regular season, which you had against Boyd, and you got a draw in that game, but it came down to a tiebreak game later in the week against Plano, and you won that 2-0. How nervous were you going into that last week of games?
Well, it was a tough game. We lost to them away 2-1. We beat them at home 1-0. So we really, we knew it was going to be a tough game. But for me to be your favorite coach, I have to keep winning. So that's the reason I said to the girls, we got to keep winning here.
And you had going in the last 6 games, you have 3 wins and 3 draws. So you're starting to really start to play your best soccer here at the end of the season. And you haven't given up a goal all the way until back against Plano East, I believe it is, earlier in the year when you gave up a goal. I think, Les, last time you gave up a goal in the season.
Yeah, I think we kind of find the players on the right spot. And you know, we started with 2 huge injuries with the 2 outside backs that had knee injuries, and consequently we had to look for 2 other players to fill out that spot. And Vianney Sanchez and Kathy Navarrete have done a tremendous job, together, of course, with the sophomore who played sweeper last year, Morgan Ford. And I think I have a senior and I had 2 sophomores in the back, and so far they've been doing very well. Of course, we have a very nice stopper on Alyssa Gardner, who's also a sophomore, so I can't complain, really.
Just to correct myself, it was McKinney Boyd. The first time you played him was actually the last time that you had given up a goal, not Plano East. But looking forward as you're going, into the playoffs, what are some of the things you've liked, within your team, how you're playing on defense, how you're playing on offense? What do you like from your team right now?
we because of the injuries, I think we changed the style of play, and we're very direct now. And something that I didn't plan, but it happened as we were practicing, and I noticed that we didn't do a very good job controlling the ball. So we have become a little bit of a threat in the sense that we're going straight to goal now. Well, in the past, because of my background, we play a little style of ball possession.
Your goalkeeper, Madeline Schober, has been fantastic for you. She had some big saves against that win against Plano, and obviously the shutout streak has been alive in the last 6 games. What is her role in the playoffs besides just stopping balls and stuff? What are some of the other things the goalkeeper has to do to help you win these games?
Well, they have to make the saves. A goalkeeper has to keep you in the game, and that's what in any teams that they have solid keepers, they make the save to keep you in the game, because if not, you're 1 or 2-0 down. And so they have to, every team. I believe that every team will have an opportunity to score. No matter how bad you are, you're going to have an opportunity to score, because the other team may hit some kind of a moment during the game that everybody goes into pause, And I think she has been able to keep us in the games, especially in all those ties against very difficult teams like Boyd and Plano West.
And in those games, you got a couple of draws here, the second time that you played both of those teams. And does that give your team now the confidence that you can compete with anybody here in the Metroplex, being that you're able to get a draw against the number 2 and 3 teams in the area in Plano West and Boyd?
Yeah. I think we talk about that. We always talk about the fact that if we're able to play very strong defense against this team, there is no reason for us not to play very strong defense against other teams. I think the problem sometimes is that you get up for those games because those teams are the best. So when you play somebody with just a little bit lesser caliber, they have a tendency of relaxing, a little bit more and saying it's not going to be as hard. But I really think that when we play Boyd and when we played Plano West, we really know that it's gonna be an uphill battle, and we knew about it. We went into those games knowing that we needed to get a point to help us get into the playoffs, and we did. And we're very proud of it. The coaching staff is very, very proud of our girls. I thought we play with a lot of character. We don't commit many fouls. We just play hard soccer, and McKinney should be very proud of the team that they have.
And in that 2-0 win against Plano in the tiebreaker game for the final seed going into the playoffs, Lauren Neely scores the goal that gives you the 1-0 lead and ends up being the game-winning goal. What was the reaction like from your players, both on the bench and on the field, after she scores that goal, and then at the end of the game when you realize that you have gone to the playoffs?
Well, I think it was a very special moment. It was very weird because Lauren throughout the game was not very comfortable with the ball. And I talked to my assistant and I said, Ryan, I think I'm going to give Lauren like 5 minutes break because she was really running very hard, and I know she was going to get tired, and I needed for the last minutes of the game. And before I even was going to make a move about replacing her for a couple of minutes, she scores the goal. So after that, I kind of stopped the substitution that I had in mind, and I'm very glad that it happened that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into the first round of the playoffs, it's a very familiar spot for you. Last year, you were in the exact same spot, fourth out of the district, and once again, you're playing in the first round, Richardson Pearson. They blitzed through their district 9-5A, going undefeated in that district. But it's a little bit, it's definitely a weaker district than your district, but it's a little bit of a softer district all around. What do you expect from that game against Pierce, which you won 1-0 last year?
Yeah, I really think that it's going to be a very tough game again. I really think that every playoff game that you play, teams act in different ways, and they go and dispute every single ball like there is no tomorrow. And that's the way to approach it. But at the same time, I think at playoffs, things even up. And even though you played a battle, because this district was a battle after a battle after a battle, I think we're prepared for that. However, it's still a playoff game, and I think the other team is going to come strong. And we'll see how we react. I trust that our girls will be ready for Friday's game.
Your team's very defensive-minded. You do a good job in the back. And last year, that showed in the playoffs when you had consecutive 1-0 victories, and throughout district, you've had now 6 straight shutouts. But going to the playoffs with now extra time and penalty kicks as a possibility, and you've admitted that you have a shorter bench to work with. You don't have as many players as some of the other teams. How do you balance, because you're a defensive-minded team, maybe the scoreless game suits you, but at the same time, you don't necessarily want to be going to penalty kicks and playing those extra minutes week in and week out in the playoffs?
That's a very good question. I think every game is a different game. And as a coach, I look at what the opponent is giving up for us to take advantage of that. And you got to understand that the last games we played against Boyd, against West, and Allen, there were 3 ties there. We lost to those teams last year. So I was trying to make a point to the girls that we needed to get a point on those games. And we're going to take the opportunity that they give us. And like I said before, every team will have 1 or 2 opportunities to score. We had it, we couldn't score, but they were very close. So we could have even come out of that with a win. So I'm just saying that, as a coach, you can observe how a team plays, but when it's game time, a lot has to do in what kind of frame of mind those players are. And is that a good day or a bad day? And especially with girls. I think girls have a tendency of having some days off. And I just think that we are going to be prepared. I think McKinney High School play hard, and I think McKinney High School can come out with a victory, provided that everything is set up the same way we've been doing it up to here.
And obviously, going into the playoffs, you're probably practicing penalty kicks just a little bit more in practice, just in case it comes down to that. Are you a coach then in that situation? You, before the game, kind of tell the players, okay, this is who I want taking PKs if necessary, or are you the person that kind of waits to see who wants to take a penalty kick at the end of the game?
That's another great question. I remember.
I'm full of great questions.
Well, I remember we were playing in 2005. We were playing McKinney North on that regional final that sent us to state. And we went through our first 5 kickers, And I know Jimmy Langford turned around and asked a girl if she wanted to kick it, and that girl said no. And after that, I said, I'm winning the game. Because truly, I was a little bit more prepared in that. And I knew already the 6, 7, and 8, and 9 players that were going to kick. They still have to convert. Don't misunderstand me. But I noticed that as a coach, you have to go on at least the 7 and 8 kicker, because then after that it's a sudden death, and you can't miss. It's not like you make it up in the next one. You just cannot miss. So really, I think you need to go to 7, 8, kickers, and make sure you have it in the list.
Sounds like a good strategy. Want to also get your thoughts before we let you go about that epic game that just happened this weekend with Real Madrid and Barcelona, the El Clasico. And I know, being from Argentina, you're probably very high on Lionel Messi, who had a hat trick in that game. And what were your just overall thoughts on how that 4-3 win for Barcelona played out?
Well, it was a must win for that coach, because by not being from Spain, I think that coach gets a lot of flack from the press. And I think the players are rallying behind him now, and they're backing up the talk. And I think teams may go through a moment that they're not going to play as well. I think there is always a transition between one coach and the other, and you pay the price for that. And I think when Guardiola left, I think this guy Martino, who's also from Argentina, had to somewhat adapt to the style, plus bring his own things. And I think that's the hardest thing for a coach, because you come with an idea, but however the team may take you with a different one. So as a coach, you need to be able to adapt. I really think that the winner of all is Simeone with the Atletico Madrid. He had that team playing very hard, and so it's going to be a 3-team battle there for the league.
Yeah, everybody knows who Real Madrid is, and everyone knows who Barcelona is, but Atletico Madrid, and we're on the same page. I think that they could win La Liga this year too, and Diego Costa has been incredible for them. So has a lot of their players. Once again, your first round matchup is going to be at Rompo on Friday night, 7:30. Against Richardson Pierce. Coach Pantarotto, thanks again for joining us today on Sports Talk.
Thank you. I hope we play a great game.
Oh, hope you do too, and hope you advance as the other McKinney teams hope they advance as well. McKinney Lionettes take on Richardson Pierce, first round of the playoffs. Once again, thanks to all of the coaches for stopping by to be on our show today. McKinney North gets their playoff journey underway this Tuesday against Frisco Liberty, while both Boyd and McKinney wait until the end of the week to play their first round games. Well, since we had so much fun on today's episode, how about we cover the boys soccer playoffs on next week's show? Sound good? Awesome. We will have the boys soccer coaches in studio next week. Until then, from all of us here at Sports Talk, I'm Tyler Sloan. Have a fantastic week.